Good morning, everybody. Today's podcast is really exciting. I think it's going to be quite an exciting journey for many, particularly people in the financial services space. Today, we're really honored to have Perdick Mzizi here from Sage. He's the account manager for Sage University, and Perdick has a really huge business portfolio. And today he's going to talk to us a little bit about Sage University and what they're doing to give back to the community and how businesses like Tetrad are geared towards empowering our youth. Perdick, that's a really big title and that looks like a big responsibility. I'd like to hand it over to you. Maybe introduce yourself, give us a little bit of background about your journey, what you've done, and what does a typical day in your life look like?
Thank you, Debbie. Thank you for having me. My name is Perdick, and I'm from Sage. I am looking after the educational sector within Sage. So by that I mean we give out access to software from learners in grade 12 right through to students at the university level. So my portfolio basically is to make sure that the life skill is transferred from corporate to education. So we look at what is it that a learner or a student must know in order for that student to be competent when they enter the jobs market. So companies that are using Sage or any accounting software for that matter, find these people already prepared and already ready for the jobs world. So my portfolio really is just to make sure that in each institution, at whatever level it is, the software requirement is actually met by objectives that we set out. And that's basically what I do.
That's fantastic. So you mentioned that you educate from grade 12 and you educate at universities. How do you go about doing that?
All right. Let's start at a high school level.
Right.
So grade 10 learners will select different subjects at the grade 10 level. Some will select accounting and or mathematics as part of their learning career. And what we then do is we look at the curriculum that is taught at the school level. So we look at the accounting concepts that are taught and we introduce the accounting package to fit that level. So how we do it then is we look at the curriculum and we say, in this software, you probably could learn the following. Example, in class, learners are taught to do CRJ, being cash receipt journals, cash payment journals, ledger. Now, when a software is introduced, this is where we tell learners that you see in class, you draw lines, you put document data, in a software setting. The source document carries more information than going into a journal itself to go and record it. Because mostly software, accounting software operate in the source document space. Your source must have correct information. If your invoice is correct, then entries in your journal are correct. In entries in your cash journal or cash payment journal, your ledger, your trial balance, and the rest of those admins are correct. So teachers then are able to explain that to the students to say, you see, in class we draw T accounts, we show you where the debit is, where the credit is. But in a software setting, you are not going to see two sides, a debit and a credit, because this is how a software looks like. So a learner is then equipped to understand that, okay, so this is the theory part and this is the practical part that the world operates. So We start that right at the beginning before they even enter a TVET or a university space.
Okay, so you really give them the tools, and you also give them the ability for them to prepare themselves mentally for what is this business world going to look like. Because the reality, I guess, when we're at school and we do accounting, I think a lot of us, particularly me, struggled with even accounting 1. But when you leave school, that's not really how the real world works. So it's really interesting that you already bring that dynamic into the schools where the children can start to get their heads around it's not just a ledger, a book, and a pen. When I go into the business world, I need to start getting my head around accounting practice and then also accounting software, which I think is really exciting because the world's moving so quickly, right? So, you don't leave school and then use your ledger to go and do accounts. You get introduced. Then you said you take this to the universities. So you obviously have a similar relationship with the universities?
Yes, that's correct. Debs, traditionally, universities used to use pastel before it became Sage.
Oh, I do remember pastel, yes.
Right. So a whole lot of graduates that are my age, way you're beyond that, at the university level did pastel, which was pastel partner at the time. Yes, we were not in all universities as it was.
Right.
But with the introduction of a Sage student world, all 26 universities are doing the Sage Business Cloud Accounting. So what does that mean? It means they have transitioned from a desktop software and a manual way of doing controls into an automated AI field space. Because you see, when a Sage Business Cloud software is actually created, AI is taken into consideration. Automation is taken into consideration. So imagine then this, when a student completes their diploma or completes their degree, they can then understand that processes within accounting, such as your bank reconciliation statements. If you understand the concept, you need to do it generals first, as in CPJ, CRJ, and CPJ, compare that to your bank statement, take a ruler, underline, and tick out those that appear in your bank statement, those that appear in your books, then post them. It's a long process because that's how it's taught. But when these students leave the institution, none of that happens because now software is linked with the banks through bank feeds. That is automated. They never get a chance to see if a bank reconciliation statement balances or not. All right. So at the university level, it is important then to say to students and lecturers to say major controls to make sure that the processes in accounting are then running softly and quickly. You can then teach students critical thinking. By that, I mean, if a software records a transaction like this, what might have been the situation? So that they concentrate on that rather than concentrating on how do you process an invoice or how do you process a trial balance or something like that. So the Sage student world at the university level takes care of matters such of those. So we give them software access, a different based on obviously qualification and a faculty, it is going to be a different software experience that they would have, whether that is going to be on a desktop level, meaning Sage 50C if it is, or Sage 200 and ERP program if it is, or cloud-based software such as your Sage Business Cloud Accounting or Sage Business Cloud Payroll, etc., etc. So the Sage Student World program gives that vast access and opportunity to faculties that are not even within the accounting spheres. That's what happens.
That's a really big portfolio.
Yeah.
And those students, obviously, if they go into the business world and they're in the accounting space, how would you recommend that they keep their skills up to date? Is there a Sage platform that they can carry on with where they could learn more? They might leave, they might get a job, as you say, and it's in an accounting sort of department, and they want to start using more around the customer has Sage Evolution or has Sage Intact and they want to learn a little bit more. How would they continue their growth? Is there a platform that they could go to?
Debs, this is going to blow your mind. You see, within the Sage Student Well program, we have another leg called the Jobs Portal. Now, what happens now is, okay, a student, and I'm intentional saying a student because I'm not talking about learners right 12 level or Tibet level. So a student has done now, completed that degree, completed their diploma. Now they, within Sage itself, within our platform, they go into the Sage Jobs Portal. It is our take of LinkedIn. Looks like a LinkedIn page. So in there, they leave their CV, they leave their qualification, they tell you how far they have studied, how far they went with their studies, and a specific role they would like to have. Now, within the Sage ecosystem, now this includes Tetrad and business partners that are linked to you guys, and the rest of our business partners, they go onto the jobs portal to look for these resources. So students there would then say, I have done a degree in information system or a BCom degree or a BCom degree or whatever the case is. So you as a business partner, you are able to go in there to say, I am looking for these kind of students. And then you're able to contact these students and have a conversations with them. So whether you are going, a business partner is having opportunities such as internships programs, such as learnership programs, such as even biotherapists for that matter. All those opportunities are geared through the Sage Student World and through the Sage portal, jobs portal. So this gives them an opportunity for a student to say, I have completed my degree. I might have only done Sage Evolution 200, and now here's an opportunity for me. Now that because this student has already certified themselves within the Sage Student World, their Sage ID does not necessarily expire. So when they are outside the university, they can then still go back into the Sage University and get access to the software trainings that are available, whether that be Sage Intact or Sage Business Cloud Accounting, whatever version we have, whatever introduction we might have of a new feature there, students can get up to date by upgrading their certification through constant learning and recognize constant learning for that matter within the Sage Student World. So basically, that's how the program runs itself into the success of the students.
Fantastic. I know as business partners, we already use the Sage University.
Correct.
We very often also bring learners and graduates through our program. It's a really good feeding ground for our interns. And maybe just a compliment to Sage, we have had multiple learners or interns that have joined Tetrad. They have done so well. We've put them on client sites, and before we know, they get taken from us by our clients because they are so well educated and they grasp the concept so well. And I think that that is such a beautiful complementary way how Tetrad and Sage work together to empower the workplace and to put good local talent back into our communities and back into our local businesses.
Yes, that's true, and I'm glad you've mentioned that. How the whole thing just fascinates me is that business partners they find it difficult to find these students. See, once they leave the institution, now you have got to go through all other parties to get hold of them. Whereas within the Sage Student World, you're getting access to the students in the entire South Africa. So whether you are based in the Western Cape as part of your branch, or you are west in the Northern Cape, whether you are in Gauteng, does not matter. You will be able to say, okay, for our branch in the Northern Cape, or we would like to run this. Guess what? So Plakis universities at Northern Cape already has got students that are doing Sage Business Data Accounting. So my point here is we are covering the entire country and we're making it easier for our business partners to get access to this resource that sometimes they do actually struggle to get the student caliber that they actually want, because the students that you get there already know so much about the accounting package as a software of choice. Sage is a software of choice for that matter. So you get them whether they've done Sage 200, you get them whether they've done Sage that business payroll or accounting. You get them at that level. Those who have measured in within Sage 200 in procurement and fixed assets and CRM, you get them from there. So the vast knowledge of students that you get are of outstanding caliber from a Sage point of view, because we know we have certified this student at a high rate of 75%. So we can then tell you that if we say this student can process within an accounting software, is because here is a competency certification that the student can give you as an evidence that they actually have reached the level that you want as a business partner.
Fantastic, Perdick. I think this has been a really interesting podcast, particularly for people who didn't understand the value that Sage brings, particularly not just to partners, but to customers who use Sage. So hopefully people watching this podcast, particularly even the customers of Sage, there are a lot of customers that use Sage directly. And they can also go and leverage the tools and the knowledge that's sitting in the Sage University. So I think in closing, maybe you can just give a shout out to those two links where people could go to learn more, how they could engage, and also to our up and coming graduates and students who want to know more about Sage, and perhaps their schools don't really engage with Sage on the level that they are aware of. Maybe you could just give a shout out to where they could go to look for this information.
All right. The best way of getting access to what I have spoken about is to send an email to studentworld@sage.com.
Brilliant.
That one email will give you access to everything. So I don't wanna complicate it by saying this and this. Just send one email, studentworld@sage.com, and they just indicate what is it that you would like to know. If you say to me, listen, Perdick, I am a student from, I don't know, I've just completed, I heard you talking about this at the podcast, what can I do? I'll be able to send you specific information. The reason why I'm not necessarily saying to you, go to the website, is because people normally get lost looking for me.
I absolutely do. So that's really going to help us. And that's not just for students, right? That's also for corporates.
That's right.
That's for university and also for educational businesses.
That's right. So if it is the request that is not within my scope, I'll then escalate it to the relevant department. But if it is a request that is within my portfolio, as I said, the entire educational sector is a portfolio within Sage. So that inbox actually comes directly to me. So I will be able to respond directly to you to say, this is the kind of access that you need. Here are the opportunities. Here is the jobs portal link that you need. And then we can go out from there. So going to Google and type in Sage Jobs Portal is not going to give you what you need. So rather send one email, studentworld@sage.com, and then you'll have all the access that you need.
That is fantastic advice. Thank you so much, Perdick. And thank you for giving us your time today. We really appreciate it. As Tetrad, I really do believe this podcast is going to give a lot of information to people out there. And it's also going to be a bit of an eye-opener, particularly for learners and also for partners who are wanting to educate and upskill. So we really do appreciate your time. And I think in closing, Tetrad would just like to thank Sage and you for your time. And thank you to everybody who's watched this podcast today. I do think you're going to find this very informative, and it's certainly going to help you in your business space. There isn't a business that exists that doesn't need financial help or financial services. So thank you very much, Perdick.
Thank you for having us. I appreciate you.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.